No, do not. פעם אחרונה.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Temple Israel. We're so glad you could be here with us tonight. So after a difficult week and a difficult time, we're going to start and open tonight with a song about making this a world of peace and a world of kindness and justice. The worlds are Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yedadai, Yedadai, Yedadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yedadai, Yedadai, Yedadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yedadai, Yedadai, Yedadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, I will build this world from love, and you will build this world from love, and if we build this world Tonight's service is going to be a little bit of a different kind of a service. And I was thinking about how we could explain this to you. And I realized that maybe the easiest way is to sort of talk about what we do when we read Torah. You see, and I know we have some guests with us tonight, so I'm glad to be able to teach some of you for the first time. Some of you know this by heart. In Jewish tradition, when we read the Torah, we read one portion every single week until we complete the whole thing. And so sometimes when you come upon a Torah portion, it may be that that Torah portion strikes you not just because of the message within, but because of those times before in your life when you remember having read it. So the Torah portion this week is Vayachel. And I'm sorry to say, it's kind of a boring Torah portion. I know, I'm not supposed to say that, but it is. It's a little bit of a boring Torah portion, but it is a Torah portion which I promise you, Rabbi Michael and I will never forget. Because 2 years ago, on the weekend of March 16th, when many of us were in the beginning of spring break, and it turned out to be, of course, the longest spring break that ever there was, we did our first virtual service here, and the Torah portion that week was Vayachel, this week's Torah portion. And so it's really been exactly 2 years on the Jewish calendar that we have been living in COVID times. And that has, of course, changed things in so many of our lives for many different ways, and you don't need me to explain to you all the different ways that this has affected each of us. But one group that we are thinking about tonight are our teenagers, because we know that when you're a teenager, that you're already going through so many different things and so many different feelings and events that to be going through them in this strange time, it really turned things topsy-turvy. So in our community, when a young person turns 13, they are able to honor this transition in their lives by becoming bar or bat mitzvah. And often that is something that they celebrate here at the temple, and they come up in front of their family and their friends, and they read the Torah, and they give a beautiful Dvar Torah, a speech about it, and they go into the congregation with the Torah, and it's so wonderful, and they go and they have a big party somewhere, and because of COVID, that couldn't happen. They could still study Torah, even though it meant that they were Zooming with us at home. They could still, in some cases, even be able to celebrate with some sort of a ceremony, but the kids who became bar and bat mitzvah in this last year or so of COVID, some of them celebrated just from their homes and their kitchen tables. Some of them came to this very room, but they were here not only just with a very, very small group of family and friends, but because Rabbi Michael and I could not be too close to them, it meant that they were often on the bima alone, with us sitting off to the side in our masks, trying to sing as quietly as possible so to not, spread our germs, whatever might come from that. So it's pretty amazing now to be able to be here 2 years later on the Jewish calendar and be able to look at some of these children and see that not only were they able to have an unusual bar bat mitzvah experience, but after that happened, that they came back. That they decided that they wanted to keep learning and they wanted to keep having these experiences. So this year, a group of our 8th graders, all of whom became B'nai Mitzvah in some way last year, they have been working with their Hebrew teacher, Adele Lewis, and they have been able to put together a service to be able to be here with you, many of their family and friends in their community, to be able to celebrate tonight and show you just what they have learned since that time when they became B'nai Mitzvah. So they are going to really help us in leading a lot of the service tonight. And so we're going to start by calling a few of them up, Naomi and Josh and Lila, to help us with our candle lighting and our kiddush and our motzi.
Bishan with the Mr. Tab, Bitzibana with the Hadithner, Shal Shabbat. The reasons we light candles on Shabbat is because the flame that comes from the candles makes us think about the light that comes from Shabbat. Many people believe by that drawing the light in from Shabbat candles, they are creating a separation from the rest of the week. a way to begin Shabbat in peace and a rest from their crazy, hectic lives.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. During the Kiddush, we drink wine and grape juice because the word Kiddush means sanctification, with the root word meaning holy. Although the wine is not sanctified, it is used as a vehicle for sanctifying and making Shabbat holy. The symbol of wine is a symbol of joy, happiness, and luxury, all of which we characterize our observance of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lehamim haaretz. The motzi is a blessing over the challah. Families say hamotzi as a way of giving thanks to God for food. We do this because many years ago, when the Jewish people were nomadic, God provided food for us. On Shabbat, God provided us with a double portion. We are very grateful for our food, and we say this blessing to express our gratitude.
So we'll join now together, and we're going to welcome everyone. Ian, come on. Hine matzov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. So each time that we come together in prayer, we know that Shabbat is a special time. And we imagine that maybe this time is even so special that it's as if we are bringing angels into our midst. And so, if you want to turn to page 24, we'll join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem, welcoming in the Shabbat angels, each of them angels amongst us. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech turn now to page 28. And we're going to ask Henry and Tessa and Gabe to come on up. Please rise.
In the Ma'ariv Aravim, God tells us about night and day and the stars in the sky. God teaches us that there is wisdom and intelligence in the world and how the world was recreated with these things in care. God created this world with beauty and has us here living to live.
Whose wisdom opens the gate, whose intelligence makes the ages pass. This translation from the Ma'ariv Aravim shows how God created the passage of time with wisdom.
We believe that Maravim Aravim is about God's ability to balance time, bringing on day, night, and everything in between. In our prayer book, it states, "You are creator of God and night," proving God has control over the balance of time and its flow. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening, is the translation of the last line showing God's power over day and night.
God creates the seasons that allow us to experience creation every day.
Avat Olam means to love the universe, and this is the prayer that precedes the Ve'ahavta. The Ve'ahavta shows that the Ve'ahavta means show we love God, and Avat Olam shows how we love God, or how God loves us. Avat Olam states that God will be by your side through your downfalls and through your prosperous moments. The more time you devote to God, the more time God will devote to you.
Avat Olam means to appreciate everything and everyone that has been put in my life, including God, friends, a house, a caring family, and many more things. The prayer also says that through everything you have been through, God will be by your side.
Ahavat Olam is explaining God's way of loving us. God shows love for us through Torah and mitzvot, as the prayer states. It also states that God shows love for us no matter what. It states that God will show love when we lie down and rise up, which means God's love will shine through everything.
We're going to continue now on page 34 with the words of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Please turn to page 36 for the Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavecha u'b'kol nafshecha u'b'kol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatan levanecha v'dibarta b'am b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot bein einecha u'ktatam al mezuzot beitecha u'isharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי הייתם קדושים לבביכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 41, sing the song of men and women join in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, for soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. And we join in Micha Mocha on page 40. We sing that prayer of freedom, the Micha Mocha, but we always follow it by asking God to spread some sort of peace over us. And in this time in particular, we are thinking not only of the peace that we need in our own communities and in our country, but of course we are thinking of our friends and our loved ones and those in Ukraine right now. We are praying that peace comes their way very quickly, that we are able to reach a time when we can come back to this bima and say that this moment of fear was behind us. But for now, we ask God spread a shelter of peace over each of us. Page 42. Compassion and trust. Hashkivenu the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai haporeis sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. So I'll invite now Naomi and Lila and Ian and Joey to return to the bima. We're going to turn now to page 46, and I'll ask you to please rise.
Adonai sefer tativta ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher Hasei Avot B'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia. Mechakel hayim behesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim berofei cholim, Umatzir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishanei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umidol melech melech memit umekayem umatmiya Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lehayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol.
Please be seated. So these past few days, I have been hearing so many different people talk about their prayers for peace, and I actually think one of the most beautiful ones is in our Siddur on page 61. It's not so much a prayer, it's actually a poem. It's based on this idea that we are taught by the prophets that we should beat our swords into plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. On 61 it says, "Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first." And so we offer a musical blessing for peace on page 60 with the words of Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. O Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon Yisrael, bechol etz uvechoshen, bishlomecha. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. So take a few moments now and we'll go ahead in our prayer books to page 253. And at this time, we offer prayers for peace. And I know now, of course, that again, so many of us are praying for not just peace, but healing and healing for those around the world. So if there is someone, though, who is in your life, who's in your family circle or your community, who you're thinking of who could use our healing prayers at this time, and you'd like to share their names aloud, we would invite you to do so at this time. So we're thinking too at this time of Lisi Weinstein and of Arlene Alper, of Jerry Krause. We're thinking of Drew Patchen and Aubrey. We're thinking of Howard. And we're thinking of all those names that we keep in our hearts and that sometimes it hurts too much to say. So for them and for us, we sing a Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBaracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotzeinu Mekor HaBaracha La'avotzeinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now we take another moment. We offer a prayer for peace, pray for our country, pray for countries around the world. We sing the words of Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Vimrama, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
I am committed to my Jewish education because I enjoy learning about how to make a positive impact through mitzvot. Some ways I show mitzvot are by volunteering at the Harvey Kornblum Jewish Food Pantry and doing small acts of kindness at my Camp Gucci. I'm continuing my Jewish journey through camp and religious school, so I get to be closer to my Judaism and learn more about it.
I'm continuing my Jewish education because I want to learn more about the holidays. I'm continuing my Jewish journey because one day I want to go to Israel.
I'm committed to my Jewish education because I enjoy learning about Jewish culture and how it relates to my life. I'm continuing my Jewish journey because I like being involved in a Jewish community.
This scroll represents our class's B'nai Mitzvah. Everyone got to write down their name in Hebrew and English, date and Torah portion they read.
We want this scroll to continue in the future 8th grade classes and generations to come. We want to set an example for the students that follow us.
This scroll is significant because it celebrates our accomplishments so far in our Jewish journeys. We want this scroll to show our commitment to our Jewish education.
So we're going to invite all of the 8th graders. I do want you to notice that they did this in height order so that you could make sure that everyone could be seen. So, so you guys, as a 7th grade class, you all spent a lot of time with us over the years. You spent a lot of time in our backyard, actually probably more than you and our kids spend time in our backyard because we couldn't quite come to temple and be with you in the ways that we wanted to. But when we think about all that you have accomplished over this past year, the most amazing thing truly is that you're still here. You know, years ago, Rabbi Michael gave a sermon on one of the high holidays, and it was about the idea that you shouldn't stop learning after your bar or bat mitzvah. And it was a sermon that stuck with a lot of people because, and we don't need a show of hands here, but a lot of folks, they come to their bar or bat mitzvah, and then we don't really see them again until maybe it's time to be under the chuppah. And what was so remarkable about this class is even though they did not necessarily have the bar or bat mitzvah that they or their families imagined, they're still here. They're still here and they're still participating and they're still leading and they're still learning. And so our hope is that they are the kind of B'nai Mitzvah that really all of these next generations come to be. Kids who want to come back and they want to learn and they want to be involved and tell us why Judaism matters so much to them. So Rabbi Michael and I wanted to give you a blessing, and I will tell you something kind of funny. You know, when we designed this bima, we had this awesome idea that we would create an ark that one day we would be able to bless people in. And we didn't necessarily get to bless you in the ark on the day of your bar and bat mitzvah, and truly we never imagined that at some point we would have all of you up here because there's too many of you. We needed a much bigger ark. So I think what we're going to do is, Rabbi Michael, you want to take the left side and I'll take the right side, and we're still going to open it up. We will not make you shmush inside. This will be a symbolic blessing before the ark. Yeah, you can get shmush in. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So the blessing that we gave to you at your bar and bat mitzvahs, though we did it from all the way over there, is the priestly blessing. And this is a blessing that we give on all of our most sacred occasions. And the amazing thing about it is, of course, that we give it more than once. that we give it when you're born, we give it when you start your religious school, at your bar and bat mitzvah, at your confirmation, at your marriage, all these amazing times. There is no limit to how many times you can be blessed, but it's pretty awesome to be able to do it all together. And so we're going to do what we asked many of you to do at their bar and bat mitzvah ceremonies, as we'll ask you to participate as well. So you don't have to stand, but if you wouldn't mind just lifting your hands so we can all sort of offer our blessing to them. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you.
May God's light be made to shine upon you and guide you wherever you go.
May God's countenance be lifted over you. May you be granted with peace, and may you always feel like you have a place here on this bima and in this community in learning Judaism. Mazel tov again, and thank you so much for helping us today. Great job, guys. And we'll ask you now if you want to please rise, and we're going to continue with the words of the Aleinu, which are on the bottom of page 282.
Shelo samhakinu kahem, vegor aleinu keho hamona, va'anachnu horim, u'ishahavim u'motim, lifnei melech, alei hamachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai v'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yehiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
We know every time we come together for Shabbat that we come together for so many different reasons. And for some of us, the reason that we are here in person or watching from home is because we're honoring a loss in our lives. And so we recall with love the names of those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families in sympathy as we recall their names: Adele Litz and Jane Wasserman. We now recall the names of those the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial: Helen Sternberg Ackerman, Albert Arndt, Isadora Auer, Joseph Block, Rose Bloomberg, Lillian Kaplan, Rose Cole, Stephen Dardick, Louis Dern, Radine Dubinsky, Sarah Hal Edison, Moses Ehrlich, Lena Frank, Harry Fuchs, Marilyn Gale, Harry Scheuer-Haas, Matilda Honig, Karen Knopf, Tama Kottman, Pauline Landauer, Irvin S. Lang, Marlene Rhea Lefton, Marvin S. Levin, Sylvia Levin, Marion Jacobson Lieberman, Louis Londy, Alice Jane Miller, Louis M. Monheimer, Dora Kottman Moss, Anna May Nussbaum, Dr. Riza Niken, Saul Nymark, Joan Frank Plattner, Ina May Rainey, Sadie Seidel Rickensall, Betty Rosenberg, Frank Ross, Norman Rubenstein, Sidney Sachs, Jack Schultz, Rachel Stix Schwab, Albert M. Schwartz, Floris Siegfried, Richard A. Silverman, Nat Singer, Ruth Reichman Solomon, Samuel Spiritus, Michael Joseph Steinbaum, Gunter Herbert Stern, Joe Tabachnik, Henry Wagner, Eugene Weil, Paul Coulter Weil, Kurt E. Weiss, Edith Newman Weiss, Richard M. Weiss, Vera Bobby Weiss, Larry Weston, and Barry Wilson. So with these names and the names that we keep in our hearts, we turn together for the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294. Yitzgadal, Yitzkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma Divarach Irteh V'yamlich Malchuteh,
בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תשבחתה ונחמתה. תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיים. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. And a source of peace, send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, huya ase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. So before we turn to our closing song, this actually does feel a little bit more like a bar mitzvah than a Friday night service. So you know at the end of bar and bat mitzvahs, I like to give announcements. So here are your announcements for this evening. As you're leaving the sanctuary today, if you wouldn't mind, please take your Sidurim and put them on that little cart that you got them when you came in. That would be very helpful for our staff. If you are with the 8th graders and their family here and you are joining us for dinner, we're going to ask that you head through this door or this door and hang a right so that you can get to your dinner. If you are a tour group who is here to do some learning with Rabbi Michael, you guys can either just stay where you are or you can come up a little bit once other folks have left so that you have a little more room. For anyone who is interested in learning a little bit more about how we can help the Jewish community, especially in Ukraine, you should have gotten something in your e-blast today. The Jewish Federation is helping us put together some resources, or you could just send me an email and I would be happy to connect you. I'm sure that we will be talking about it a lot in days to come, but at least for now, what we can do is pray. So we are going to offer one last Oseh Shalom for them. Shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Shabbat shalom. See what you want?
Thank you. It's hard to do. I've been wondering, is that on It is? Nothing fancy at all. $100 guitar. Nothing fancy. And no, easy to play with. It's what I learned on. And it's just that I'm the most comfortable. She likes steel string. I don't know why. I can't bend it. I have no fun bending it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you gotta find what you like. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Shabbat shalom, buddy. All right, don't worry about the musical equipment. I think it may be on, the mics may be hot, but I'm sure you've been around this equipment a lot before. So please feel free to come on up. Don't mess with my guitar. It's like $70. You like that? Come on up, come on up. You can see the secret chute where we take. All right, so I just want to hear from 5 people. There's 5 books of the Torah, which are in these scrolls. From 5 people, can you give me 5 people's different perspectives on why you're here? What are you doing here? I've told you why I'm here. Now I need 5 different people's perspectives. Who's good? Go for it.
Learning about all the different religions and different theology.
Okay. All right, cool. That makes sense. You're in the right place. I don't know if I can teach you theology. That's tricky. Actually, I'll do my best. Some other people, why are you here? No other reason. You got 4 left. Okay, all right. Respect thy teacher. Miss Pennington schlepped you out. The Yiddish word schlepp is getting too common. It means to drag out, to like bring along. Yiddish is a sort of a weird way of saying the word literally Jewish, like as though there were a Jewish language, but Yiddish is an Eastern European Jewish language. Yiddish literally means Jewish. That's a combination of Hebrew and a lot of Slavic languages. It has a lot of really good, funny sounding words. All right, I need 3 reasons. What are you doing here? I gotta look at you because you're up front. You're up front. Anybody? Oh no. I gotta answer all the questions. Come on, read. Give me 3 more reasons, 3 more perspectives. What are you guys doing here? Raise your hand if you're studying theology. You all look okay. You look hesitant. Yeah, you're like, wait, maybe I'm not. Is that a theological? It wasn't a okay. All right. I need 1 opening icebreaker question about Judaism. Go for it. You're breaking the ice right now. It's true. Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Thank you. So there are about 3 different main streams of Judaism. Although if I said that, the people that I name right now are going to get offended that that I'm not mentioning the subdivision. 3 are traditional, or what I like to call traditional because it sounds like more sensitive. But some people call it Orthodox. Those are guys with the black hats, women with covered hair.